Hello everyone, this is Şerif Tubrakır. My guest, Mr. Murat Sayın, the owner of the Sayın Law Firm. Actually, I'm his guest.
Yeah.
We are neighbors in the same floor at our office. We are looking to Forest side, they are looking to Stadium side. Today we came to their meeting room for an important topic.
Yeah. Thank you, Sheriff, for being a guest in my office. It's very big honor for me to host you and your team here. I'm also happy to be a neighbor to you. So we are having the chance working close. So welcome my office and happy to be with you and your team here.
Thank you so much. By the way, Sayın Law Firm is a huge company. They have more than 100 lawyers in their company, and Murat is the founder of this company. Today's topic is work permit in Turkey, how to get a work permit and the deep questions about that. So let's start.
Yeah,
Questions?
you can start.
Okay. Our first question is, do foreigners who are willing to work in Turkey need to get a work permit?
Yes, Sheriff. As you know, Turkey is a center of attraction for foreigners. Also, foreign companies, multinational companies, are having centers in Turkey as well. Therefore, many foreign people want to work in Turkey. But in any other countries, such as Turkey, a foreigner who wants to work in Turkey has to get a work permit. In accordance with the International Labour Force Law, it's compulsory to obtain a work permit from the Ministry of Family, Labour and Social Services in order to employ a foreigner in our company. Therefore, you have to make an application and have to get a valid work permit to legally work in Turkey. Otherwise, foreigners, also the companies that foreigners are working in, are subject to criminal and administrative action.
It's a so clear answer. Thank you. So, second question, is having a residence permit enough to work legally in Turkey?
Of course, no. Residence permit allows the foreigners only reside in Turkey, but for a working permit is subject to another application process. Therefore, you cannot work legally in Turkey only with a residence permit.
Actually, I knew the answer, but all the time they're asking us
This is a
question.
confusing matter. Some foreigners think that when they have a residence permit, they can work in Turkey.
Yes. Our third question is, can a foreigner who has a work permit get a residence permit for his or her family?
Yes, this is also a common question asked to us. The foreigners' spousey and dependent children can also be granted a residence permit throughout the foreigner's work permit. That means when a foreigner has a working permit, it allows his or her family to reside in Turkey.
So if the person comes from his country to Turkey to work with a work permit, his or her family is getting the possibility to live
during the time of the working
core
permit,
family.
his family or his family
Wife, children.
can stay in Turkey.
It's fair enough.
Yeah.
So our fourth question is, which foreigners don't need to get work permit to work in Turkey, or are there privileged nationalities that don't require work permit at all?
Foreigners who do not need a work permit, those who have received a blue card. A blue card is a different issue regulated in Turkish citizenship law, and some people have opportunity to grant by a blue card. If you have a blue card, you don't need to get a working permit to work in Turkey.
As far as I know, blue card is actually given to a Turkish person who doesn't hold the Turkish passport, isn't it?
Actually, that's right. If you are a Turkish person but you are not a Turkish citizenship, for example, you are living in Germany, your family is a Turkish family, but you are a German citizen, so therefore you can work in Turkey with blue card.
Blue card. So he is like, or she is like 50% Turkish.
Yes.
Then the introduction questions has been finished, and now we are starting to the process. How can work permit application can be done?
Yes, application can be made in Turkey or outside of Turkey. If you have a residence permit in Turkey, you are making the application in Turkey, but if you are outside of Turkey, you are making your application in the Turkish embassy and then you inform your employer with the number of your ID application, then your process finalized in Turkey. And these regulated under legislation, how you apply and which steps. So therefore, at the end, the ministry will evaluate your application and they will decide to grant a work permit to you or not.
What documents are needed to apply this work permit?
Yeah, actually, before starting the application process, an employment contract should be signed between the employee and the employer. This is our first document. This contract should be in accordance with the requirements of the ministry. Then other documents that demonstrates that the foreigner's ID, like passport, residence permit card, if he has, and also the company's documents, such as article of association, such as the company's activities card, something like that.
So can we say that 90% of the job has to be done by employer actually?
Yeah, actually the company the foreigner will work for is organizing the documents for that.
So the employer should have a need of this stuff actually from that country to work his company and should explain the Turkish government that he needs this person as a staff.
Yes.
This is the
we can
reason.
say that. Yeah.
So we cannot hire a standard person which is actually inside the country as a local people. If there is a workforce like this, we cannot arrange maybe work permit for this person.
Yeah, there are some conditions. Also,
For example, if you are opening an Iranian restaurant, and if you need an Iranian chef to open this restaurant, you need to hire Iranian person.
yes, and you have to demonstrate your need to an Iranian chef.
So the person should be master of his job, specific topic, so that the employer should hire this person from that country.
Yes, that's a critical point also. The foreigner who wants to work in Turkey, the company demonstrate that I need this person.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yes.
What is independent work permit?
It's a different topic actually. An independent work permit is issued for a period of time. And this independent work permit is granted to the professionals who is very important for Turkey and Turkish people. That means if you are a critical person, if you will contribute to Turkish government, Turkish people, Turkish life, Turkish culture, so you are granted with an independent work permit. For example, you are a scientist and you want to make your researches in Turkey, and you can apply to Turkish government, and Turkish government may grant you an independent work permit. In this type of work permit, you are working independently, not under a company.
This is also clear. I hear this one actually first time in my life. So next question is, what is the foreign ID number?
Foreign ID number, a foreign identification number is a number starting with 99 and consisting of 11 digits issued electronically to foreigners who have a work permit or residence permit at least 6 months in Turkey.
So if we have work permit, it means that we have the foreign ID number too.
When you get your working permit, you will grant with a ID number starting with 99.
I guess this helps us while we are getting the memberships of telephone line, opening bank account.
This allows you make applications to telephone lines, electricity, natural gas.
You can act like a Turkish in the country.
That demonstrates that you are legally working in Turkey.
Our next question is how the work permit is evaluated and finalized.
The ministry actually evaluates and finalizes the work permit application by taking the opinions of relevant authorities, relevant ministry, when necessary. For example, the Minister of Family may ask Minister of Defense if this person can grant a work permit. So therefore, after this evaluation, work permit application is finalized by the Minister of Family within 30 days at the latest. But in this pandemic situation, this time of period can be longer, 90 days, 60 days.
So we advise our visitors to get ready to be a longer period of time.
Yeah, they should be ready actually
Mhm.
because 30 days is a dream nowadays in Turkey.
So, is the passport date of expiry taken into consideration during evaluation?
Of course, you have a valid passport when you make an application for work permit. Also, your passport expiry date should be more than 60 days from the application date.
Mhm.
If it's less than 60 days, your application will not be processed.
I see. So, for example, I am a foreigner and university student in Turkey. I need to do a mandatory internship regarding my department. Do I need to get a work permit to do it?
No, you don't need to make an application for a work permit. You are exempt from working permit. But your university should send you a notification and you have to submit to the authorities that you are a legal intern in Turkey.
I see. We have many investors, and other than real estate, they have also startups in the companies. This question is coming commonly. Do shareholders who are not from Turkey or a member of the board of directors need to get a work permit?
Yeah, this is also a common question asked to us. When you establish a company in Turkey, but you are the only worker or you are only the partner of the company, you don't have an employee or you don't have any staff, and is also regulated in the legislation. For example, the directors of limited liability companies are exempt from working permit.
Mhm.
Also, the member of the board of directors don't have to make an application for work permit.
Mhm.
Also, non-residents board directors, board members are also exempt from working permit.
Mhm. Can foreigners who stay through work permits can change their works?
Work permits for foreigners are issued for a specific company and a specific workplace. If you leave your company who made your application and get your work permit is changed or you leave that company, your work permit is expired.
Mhm.
So you have to make a new application for your new company.
But I am sure these history records will help to get the new one easier.
Yes, this one will be easier.
Mhm.
But many foreigners think that
The-
I
but-
have 2 years working permit.
I-
That means I can work everywhere in Turkey.
Mhm.
No, the work permit is issued for a specific address, specific company, a specific job.
Mhm.
Therefore, you have to make a new application for your new company.
I see. What is the minimum wage which needs to be paid to the foreign employee?
Yes, the minimum wage is determined by legislation. So for every kind of profession, for every kind of job of the foreigner.
For example, computer programmer.
Yes, computer programmer is different. An engineer is different. So these wage levels are determined in legislation. I mentioned a contract, an employment contract between the foreigner and the company. This contract should indicate higher than this determined wage level.
What kinds of rights do foreigners have if they get sick or work accident?
Yes, in this regard, there is no difference between the foreigner worker or a Turkish student.
Mhm.
What a foreigner have a right in Turkey is like a Turkish right. For example, the foreigners have the social security insurance and can go to the hospital. And it means that the foreigner worker has the same rights with a Turkish citizen.
I see. For example, I lost my work permit document. How can I get the new one?
If your valid work permit is lost, stolen or damaged in a way that cannot be used, you can request a work permit to be reprinted by logging into work permit application system. You are making this application via e-government system and clicking the new card request button. That means your card is stolen or lost and you will be granted with a new ID card, new working permit card. If your request is deemed appropriate, you will be asked by email to pay work permit fees in the amount that the minister stated in the said email. When you deposit the specific amount, your new work permit card shall be printed and sent to your workplace again.
This is clear answer, thank you. For example, I got a work permit but couldn't reach me yet, and where and how can I track down my document?
After the work permit documents approved by the ministry and the work permit card is printed, they are sent to employer's address by PTT Cargo. After PTT Cargo sends notifications about the status of this shipment to your mobile phone, you can also view the status of your shipment by entering the system via e-government system. Then you will see from the system when you will get your working permit card from the system.
Thank you so much, Murat, for your valuable answer to these not ending questions today. We tried to cover all the idea about the work permit. We created these questions and you answered all of them very well. Do you have anything to add about work permits?
Yes, work permit issue is an important topic for foreigners. But as I said before, this working permit issue is normally organized by the company that foreigner work. So therefore, foreigner should have the knowledge about working permit process and inform his company if he has a work permit here. Sometimes these companies tries to get these foreigners work in Turkey without working permit. This is illegal.
Illegal.
Yeah. Therefore, these foreigners who are working in Turkey should seek their work permit from their employees.
Many times we get inquiries about from people that can you arrange us a work permit, and we always answer them that you have to find a job first,
Yes.
and the company should get the work permit. So we wanted to make this video especially to make the issue clear. I guess this video will be helping all over the world who wants to work in Turkey.
Yeah, I hope this video will help people who wonder about work permit in Turkey. And also, it's very honor for me to be a guest in your channel.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, thank you for watching. Today's topic was work permits in Turkey. If you have any questions on your mind that we didn't mention in this video, you can comment under the video and Mr. Murat or one of his attorney and us can answer these questions as soon as possible.
Thank you very much.
We would like to see you some in other video as well.
Thank you. I hope so.
See you on the next episode. The broker is out.